What's going on, guys? Michael Elliott here. They say two things are guaranteed in life, death and taxes. Well, there are three things guaranteed, and that is that if you watch to the end of this video, you're going to make more money than if you don't. And I'm going to show it in case to you why and explain it to you now. I'm excited about this. This is a flow that generated me $13,000 last month. This is something that is invaluable to businesses. Effectively, what it is it is a flow which uses a form submission to scrape Apollo with Apify, providing businesses with leads for next to nothing at huge volumes, up to 50,000 per search, and they can trigger it at the drop of a hat, have a spreadsheet created that is added to a Google Drive folder, and is just basically simplified as simplified as physically possible for the business. This flow starts with this form. So I'm going to show you what the form is. And this is what the customer will face. This is what the business would face. This is what you will face if you use it. And we have list name, Apollo search URL, lead count, and email. Okay, I will fill that in a moment, and I'll show you the end result. But going back to the original flow, the first step of it, you can see that it's split into two. So the first step of this flow is the form submission, then scrapes Apollo and creates a row in Supabase. Now, this is required because of the time that it takes for individual crawls to happen when in terms of Apify. We need to be able to store the data somewhere so that we can then reference it later on once it's complete, and that is why we have a webhook, and I'll cover all of this in a moment. Why we have a webhook as a trigger, which covers the next steps. Now, effectively from there, this is exactly what it says on the tin. You submit a form, it starts the scrape, and it creates the rows in Supabase. Once the scrape is done, the webhook will trigger. It will fetch that information from Supabase, create a Google Sheet, move the file inside of Google Drive to the designated file that we set. It will get the data set items because there are going to be multiple runs. You're going to run it now, then you might run it 2 hours later, you might run it 3 hours later. It's going to fetch the unique data set item. It appends the row in a sheet, so it updates the sheet with all of the information, aggregates the data into one simply output piece of data ready for Google Drive, and then a notification is sent via email to the email address you specify in the form. Now, if you think about this strategically, just from a business point of view, as an objective sort of overview, this flow gives a business the power to be able to scrape as many leads as they physically want based off of their own criteria, which I'm going to go through in a second, at ridiculous volumes for an exceptionally low cost. You could scrape 1 million leads for like $50 or whatever the amount is, $100, whatever it is next to nothing. So if they're using cold email outreach, cold calling, which is still huge, businesses pay big money for these sorts of flows, and this is why I wanted to give it to you for free. So I'm going to now run through how this works from the client side, which is important for you to understand. So you'll know that from the form, you have a list name, so you want to call this list name. So let's do it. We're going to call it SAAS Businesses US 0208 2025. The naming convention is important because as you're scraping, especially with dates, but we don't really care. The output is what we care about. Now, this is where the key comes in because it's the Apollo search URL. So all you have to do, you can have a free account with Apollo, is go to Apollo, and you can filter by whatever metrics you want. You want the United States, that's fine. You want a specific number of employees, that's also fine. 1 to 10, there's 8 million. You want to target smaller businesses in a specific industry, that's cool, we can do that. Industry and keywords, let's go for, I don't know, let's go for advertising services. Let's say we're looking for people in advertising services. So you can see here there's 197,000 in this list. If that was the criteria that the business wanted, all they have to do is literally fill in this side form here, which is the sort of profile of the person. If we take out advertising services, for example, and stick something in there like, I don't know, heating companies, heating services, 2,500. You can go as niche as what you want. You could go really big and go like SaaS. Oops. You can go SaaS, for example, SaaS solutions, SaaS. Here, you add those in. We've got 74k. If you added all the individual SaaS platforms and stuff inside of here, then it will obviously grow to something quite large. But you can change country, you can change the industry, you can change whatever you want. And all you need to do is, now that we've defined that we want SaaS businesses with employees between 1 and 10 in the United States, is copy this URL, put it into this search, and put the lead count in of how many you want. I'm going to put 500 in, okay? Just because it'll take less time if I do. I'm not going to wait for this. I'm going to submit it. That form's now been submitted, so this scenario is now running. If we go to executions, you can see that the one that I've just submitted now at 5 to 2 my time has been successful, but this has been successful. The second part of the flow is not yet ran. And the reason why the second part of the flow is not yet ran is because it's waiting for the crawl to happen. So if I went, it's waiting for the run to happen from the actor. So if I go into Apify, let me load up a new tab and go to Apify for you just to show you. Inside of Apify, if we go to runs, you'll see that it's currently running. Okay. Well, the absolutely amazing thing about this is the flow that I'm going to give you is for an Apollo scraper. But what you actually need is, there are an abundance of actors inside of here, okay? And you might want a Google Maps scraper. Well, all you need to do in order to do that is create an integration inside of this Google Maps scraper that is from a webhook, is from a HTTP webhook that starts when a run is succeeded, okay, and literally save. Oh, it needs the URL. I'm gonna put. I mean, I'll show you exactly what you would do, just to give you the context. I'm gonna come back into the editor. I'm gonna create a new trigger, and I'm gonna have it as a on chat message, and I'm gonna. Sorry, on a form submission. I'm going to have it on a form submission, and on that form submission, there's the production URL. You would take that URL, you would copy it, and you would go over to the Google Maps scraper, and you would paste it in, and you would hit save. Now you have, if you go back into the integration section, you now have a Google Maps scraper that has a HTTP request, and if you go to, I'll delete that later. But if we go to the Apollo scraper that I actually have, why am I searching in settings? There you go. Where are we? This one. We go to this actor, you can see the integration, and you can see that that's the exact integration that's being used in the flow that I'm showing you and that I'm running you through now. So I'm going to delete it because we don't need it. But the point is that you can have multiple individual triggers. So you could have, we could rename this node and have it as Apollo scraper form. But you could then have the node I just created, which was a Google Maps scraper, connect it, right? And then you could have an abundance of individual, there will be some tweaking to the flow as you went on. But the point that I'm making is that you could actually build out a whole scraping system. Do they want Instagram information, LinkedIn post? You could go crazy with this and really scale it up. But what happens is that it scrapes Apollo, as I've just shown you, and it creates a row in Supabase. So I've already got my Supabase sort of structure set out. But you will see that the SaaS businesses US, which is this one, the last one, that I scraped 500 of, has been added to the rows. It's been added to Supabase, and that is a very, very simple connection. You just want to create a row. Literally, Supabase is free. Create a Supabase account, connect the credentials, and then all you're doing here inside of this module is, inside of this node, is giving it the table name. So if you go back and we have a look at my Supabase, Apollo scraper form submissions, you're giving it the name. And then all you are doing is mapping out the individual fields based off of the information that's required. And that is the actor run ID, the email, the Apollo URL, the lead count, and the list title. These pieces, all of those pieces of information, you can see, look, it all comes from the form. It's literally the easiest expression you'll ever write because it comes from the previous node. This is not, I'm not going to live build this because I'm going to be giving you I'm going to be telling you how to get this at the end of the video. But I just wanted to cover why that happens. Well, when the webhook fires, let's see if it's done it yet. So it has succeeded now, okay? And with that flow succeeding, we can see the webhook received all of the information, right? It basically received all of the information. But what the key part of this is that it received the ID of the individual run, because that's what we use later on. It then gets a row inside of Supabase, so it pulls the information, literally just the resource ID, the actor run ID, you can see there, literally is used. It's literally in the same table. It's so simple, with obviously an operation to get, because we're trying to retrieve the information. Now it's there, based off of the explanation I gave you about the create a row and why there's a delay with the webhook, and the integration showed you that in Apify. The create a spreadsheet is about as simple of a node as you can get. We want the operation to be create, and we want it to be get a row.item.json.list.title, so that it can pull from the historical information that was provided at the form. We gave it the title, SAAS Business US. We want the spreadsheet to be reflective of that, obviously. So we pulled that name. It moves the file. It's so simple. Google Drive module. If you're not connected for any of your like Gmails, etc., it is literally a click of a button. And then if you need to enable the APIs, you literally go to the Google Cloud Console, search for. Well, I'll do it for you. Google Cloud API. You go to the Google Cloud API. You go to the console. You search for I don't know, like what we're looking at, Google Drive. You go to Google Drive. Select Google Drive API, and there'll literally be a button here that says enable. Obviously it's already enabled for me because I'm using it, but that's as simple as it is to set up. We're not using anything crazy here. Supabase requires a simple token which you can receive from the settings and API. It's really, really, really simple to do. But moving on, when you look at this, we've got a file move, and it creates this spreadsheet, it pulls the create the spreadsheet expression, item.json.spreadsheet ID. The parent drive is my drive, which is the drive, for me. And I created a folder that was called Apollo Scraper File. You can call it whatever you want. You could have it whatever you need. You could literally just leave it in a random folder if you wanted to. But being organized is always key. But importantly, you can see the output, and in the output we have, it's got the ID, it's got the drive file, it's got the name, and we're cruising along to what is the most important node in this flow, arguably. I mean, the scrape, you could argue, is the most important node. But this is the most important node for me, because one thing you're going to have to do inside of here is, inside of Apify, you have a bearer token, okay? It's the API, it's a password. That's all it is. It's nothing to be scared of. On this video now that you're looking at, it's going to be blurred. It's going to be right here, but it's going to be blurred. But all you need inside of that authorization is bearer with a capital B, and then copy your Apify token into it, and that will use your own Apify to run. But effectively, what we're doing here is we are running through this. We're basically pulling the data set from the webhook, so you can see that it pulls from the api.apify.com/v2/datasets. It then goes into the expression of the webhook, so it's pulling information from the webhook now, and it's item, JSON, body, resource, default dataset ID, which I believe was exactly the data field that I showed you already. Default. Well, let me search for dataset. Default dataset ID here, right? Now, if we hover over this, you're going to see what this actually means, because this, you look at the URL that's inside of there, and yeah, it might look a little bit confusing to you. Like, it depends on your level of ability in terms of being able to write custom expressions and how familiar you are with this. But all you're literally doing here is telling it to pull the default dataset ID. And if you look at this URL in comparison from a simplistic point of view, it is api.apify.com/v2/dataset/the ID/items. That is it. And then all you're doing below is you're allowing it to, we want to send headers, which needs to be turned on. You're going to have this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But you want to send headers, accept JSON, application/JSON, allow the authorization so it can pull the data sets in the first place without your API bearer token. That's not going to be possible. And you just want to allow it to follow redirects. And that you can see here from the output of somebody that I've scraped previously. Apologies, Damien, if you get an influx of messages on LinkedIn. But you can see there that it's now given us all of the information that we need, the contact information, everything inside of there is provided. So we've got what we came for, which is obviously the most important thing. It now appends a row in a Google Sheet. Most ridiculously simple again, literally a sheet within a document, append a row, the sheet name, which is in the bottom left of the Google Sheet, as you can see, and I'll show you a sheet in a moment because I'm going to show you what it generated for me. And it's selecting the move file from the Google Drive module, .item.json.id, which is the spreadsheet that it created. Now, we scrape 500, we aggregate that all items into a single list, and then we share the file, which is an important step, because what we do is we share the file. When I look at this file, I'm going to be able to edit it, but when your business, your clients, or even you, if you deploy this to scrape your own leads for your cold email, whatever, you're going to be able to share that information and send it to other emails, etc., sales teams, that they can't edit the raw source of the data, so that you don't have to worry about what has been outputted. We know that Apollo is the best place where we can scrape leads from. It depends on what you decide to do with it, but like I say, in this case, it's Apollo. Scrape Apollo. You can, and then obviously we want to send the notification via email, and the email message literally just says, "Hi, your scrape list named," pulls the name as an expression, is ready. So let's see, shall we? That's the scrape. That is the full scrape done. I'm going to go into my inbox now, and you can see here, the rest of it will be blurred, but you can see here that the SAAS business US is been shared with me. If I click that, "Hi, your scrape list named SAAS business US is ready." If I hit open, I open a list that's got 500 leads that match in my criteria of what I've submitted, and it all came from this. Well, it's obviously the form's closed now, but it all came from this individual form. When I tell you how you can get this, at the end of this video, you're going to be able to take this and run with it. But there is one final thing that I wanted to showcase to you, was that this is not the end of the road in terms of this form, in terms of this approach. You could actually add additional things to this, make it more granular, pull LinkedIn as well, create icebreakers, all this stuff that you can do to research the individual people. But inside of this scraper file now, you will see, I did a couple of tests before, of course, and you will see that the bottom file, which has just been generated by me here, is inside of a Google Drive folder for all of my sales team to access. So I have just shown you, and I'm about to give you, a full end-to-end flow that, from a form submission, scrapes Apollo using Apify, provides up to 50,000 leads at any one time to a business, organizes it properly in their Google Drive, and updates a spreadsheet for them to do whatever they want with it, whether they want to call them, whether they want to email them, whatever they want to do. The fact is that they can get access to leads. The amount of businesses that I speak to that just pick up the phone, they search for industries they know that are interested in their service, and they continue to call is ridiculous. This flow, this literally this exact flow, has made me $13,000. I should have gone annually, because I almost guarantee it's six figures because of some of the months where I've had really good months with this flow. But the reason this flow is so valuable is because it's what the benefit is to the business. Think about the ability to be able to get these leads for their sales team. If they do have cold calling and they do want to laser in on their exact business, let's say they don't want to work with small businesses with only 1 to 10 employees, but they only want 50 plus. You can literally go out there, find all the businesses in a specific city with other criteria around that, give that to the business, and they can do it. But you provide them the ability to be able to do it themselves, and then sell a retainer to them based off of the upkeep and ensuring that you consistently, go through the flows from there. The trigger can be anything. I used a form. You could use even voice, like whatever. You could use anything to as long as you could get that output into this properly, and you would have to change the flow. In the description, there's going to be the JSON file link for this, so that you can download and implement this flow yourself. Please hit a comment on this video, because this is the first time I've given a flow away. This is a saleable flow, and it's an extremely valuable one. So hit me up. Let me know what you thought once you did the output of it. Let me know once you were successful selling it to businesses. If you want more content like this, where I provide you with the actual the flow for you to be able to take away and use, let me know, because whether you're a business owner, a freelancer, or whatever, this is a moneymaker, and it's something that you should 100% be selling or implementing into your business. See ya.